So a lot of times people don't even realize they're getting a lot of traffic from Pinterest or from Google to an old blog post. They didn't even realize that. And
Mhm.
so what their web designer might be saying, oh, we don't even need to copy over all of your old blog content. And I'm always like, yes, you do. If it's actually bringing people to your website, don't just scrape it.
Uno, dos, tres. So would you say then that web designers are actually a crucial piece in SEO? Because I think of web design and SEO as two separate things.
Oh, no, I definitely see them as very intertwined. And it's actually unfortunate how often I enter situations still, just like Allie had with her website. So, someone who had an older website that actually ranked pretty well on Google, and they decided to invest in a new website with someone who didn't know SEO best practices, who unfortunately removed all that good work that was done and negatively impact rankings and traffic. And it happens all the time, and there are some few basics that web designers really should know, and anyone should know as they're thinking creating a new website for themselves, just making sure especially not to let old links be broken. So many web design redesigns, we change the about page location from /about to /about dash us. Well, that breaks all your old links. So even simple things like that need to be done with great care if a business is ranking well on Google and is getting a significant amount of leads and traffic from Google. That needs to be done really carefully.
Okay. I want to dive deeper into this, and I'd kind of like to take it two different directions. So I want to ask about some practical things, some of those things that, the web developers need to know, but and whatever you're willing to share. But it sounds like there's two different types of scenarios. Someone who, or maybe even three, one person who's never had a website before and is starting from scratch, probably the best scenario, right?
Often,
Maybe.
well, sometimes, yeah, we could
Okay.
talk about SEO for new websites.
Okay,
It's
cool. So we're gonna have to get into that too.
yeah.
We're gonna have to you back on. Obviously, I can tell already.
There's so
45
many
minutes,
things.
not gonna do it. But so basically, if you have someone who has an old website that is performing well, you would not recommend they just go and scratch everything because they want some new shiny thing. They need
Exactly.
almost like an SEO audit, would you say?
Yes. So I actually have a service that is specialized for making sure that website migrations are done well.
Okay.
So for anyone who is interested in redesigning their website and they're a little bit concerned on how that might impact their traffic, I actually can take a look at what's going on in your analytics. And let me just tell you real quickly what I would do. So if anyone's listening, they can do that for themselves if they know their way around their analytics platform. So what I would want to do before a site was transitioned is actually go see where your traffic is coming from right now. So you can go into analytics, into the acquisition section, and then the sources section, and see if you're getting decent traffic from Google. You might already know if you've invested in SEO in the past and you know it's driving you inquiries, that might be something you know already. So I want to know, are you getting decent Google traffic? And what pages on your site are people landing on the most? Because those are the most important pages that you need to make sure the URL either doesn't change with your new website, or you need to make sure that that's redirected. So a lot of times people don't even realize they're getting a lot of traffic from Pinterest or from Google to an old blog post. They didn't even realize that. And
Mhm.
so what their web designer might be saying, oh, we don't even need to copy over all of your old blog content. And I'm always like, yes, you do. If it's actually bringing people to your website, don't just scrape it. You need to have that information. So make that list of your most visited pages on your website by going into your website analytics and looking for your site visits and your page visit information. So those
So
are big things that are really important that a lot of people don't realize.
So when I'm hearing you, I'm thinking, what about the newbie out there who's maybe says, "Oh, I'm using Wix or Weebly or one of these, more drag and drop user-friendly templates instead of something that's either custom built or like a WordPress site, for example, that sometimes requires a little bit more
Yeah.
handholding." can you still do that with the same effect, or are those drag and drop builders kind of a completely different animal?
No, I mean, every website still has URLs and still gets traffic. So no matter what platform you're on, you're still able to go look at that information and kind of make some decisions as you're thinking about transitioning a site to a new platform. All of these drag and drop builders also have SEO settings. So if you are someone that has made your own website on Wix or Weebly or Squarespace, I encourage you to just read a basic SEO settings article, Google Wix SEO setup, and they'll walk you through some basic things about where you need to put some keywords on your site, where you need to maybe customize a title for a page. It doesn't have to be hard or scary. A lot of these platforms have some kind of walkthrough wizards. And I think that's a great place to start for anyone who has built their own site on a drag and drop builder.
Do you have some best practices for someone who's doing this? Let's say that, I just launched my photography business, or, I know especially wedding venues, I think, really get a lot of traffic from Google. So when you think about kind of some best practices, some things to do right away, non-negotiables maybe, what would you say when you're doing any website on any platform? What would you say are kind of some of the first things that you do to start getting some ranking?
Okay, so I think that this can be very simple. Doesn't have to require any tools, just your brain to think about. I think a lot of times people overcomplicate SEO because they hear really complicated terms like meta descriptions and schema, and all of those things can be part of advanced SEO, but I think they also scare people away from doing the basics. So here's what I want someone, a wedding venue owner, or someone who's working on their own website. I want you to think about that one keyword phrase that describes where you are located and your primary service or what your business category is. So if it's me, I'm in Winter Park, Florida right now. So it might be Winter Park Wedding Venue or Wedding Venue in Winter Park, Florida. For a photographer, maybe it's Knoxville Wedding Photographer. For a planner, maybe it's Kentucky Wedding Planner. So a city or state that you want to associate yourself with, preferably where you're actually located, plus that phrase that describes your business. And that I want you to think as the primary keyword for your home page. Now, a lot of people come to me, they know this. They're like, okay, I keep Googling for Knoxville Wedding Photographer and I can't find myself. And then I look at their homepage and I realize they've never used that phrase on the page. And Google cannot guess what you are or what you do or where you are if you don't tell them by putting that phrase on the page of your site. So now that you've thought of the keyword you would want to be found for, I want you to use it in a couple places. So I want it actually in the content of the page. So you can say, Big Sky Acres is a Winter Park wedding venue offering all-inclusive packages, blah, blah, blah. So somehow use that phrase within the content of the page. And then if you can figure out on your website platform where the SEO title for your page is set, this is one of the most important settings that tells Google what kind of business you have. So again, if you're on Wix, just Google SEO title on Wix. There will be an article that will tell you where to go and edit that. And in Wix, there's actually a nice little SEO settings tab in your page settings. So you're just going to go there for the home page and you're going to put that phrase in the SEO title. So it would say Big Sky Acres, Winter Park Wedding Venue. And then you have informed Google what your overall category of your website is. And you would be shocked the impact these two little changes can have using your keyword on the page and in your SEO title. I have seen sites jump up 6 pages on Google just because Google didn't know what kind of business it was until you put the phrase you want to be found for where Google looks for it.